You won't believe what happened at Kensington Palace with just a simple white envelope. Inside was a DNA test result promising to reveal the final secret about Princess Diana, and when Kate opened the envelope, the shocking truth brought her to tears. Do you want to uncover the mystery that's shaking the entire royal world? If yes, leave a 1 in the comments. If you think this is just an unbelievable story, comment 0, hit subscribe now so you don't miss the next shocking and mysterious stories. The envelope arrived unexpectedly, sent along with the usual morning correspondence at the palace, much like a familiar boring report from the royal advisors. But the seal was different, a heavy wax layer with an unfamiliar emblem, and the handwriting on the envelope lacked the usual formality and politeness seen in royal letters. Kate hesitated for a moment, thinking it was just a mistake, but something made her unable to ignore it. A heavy feeling, a strange silence deep in her chest. Finally, she decided to open the envelope. Inside was only a single sheet of paper with a bold, clear headline at the top, "Confidential DNA Report." Her hand suddenly froze as her eyes scanned each line of the text. The words sent a chill through her skin. Names she knew, phrases she never imagined would appear together. The truth crashed down on her, almost too unbelievable to accept. The DNA comparison results between the late Princess Diana and a strange name she could now never forget. Then the shocking conclusion appeared clearly and coldly, like a confirmation of what palace rumors had only dared to whisper. She gasped for breath, her throat tightening, and her hand trembled so much she nearly dropped the paper. Her hand went stiff as her eyes scanned the lines below. The words seemed to tear at her cold like a biting wind. Names she was all too familiar with. Phrases she never thought she'd see together. Consequences crashed down before her mind could fully grasp them. The DNA comparison test between her late mother-in-law Diana and a name she only vaguely recognized, but now could never forget. Then the shocking conclusion was written in clear, undeniable words, confirming what palace rumors had only dared to whisper. Her chest tightened, her throat went dry, and her trembling fingers nearly dropped the paper. She read it over and over, but the result didn't change. It was undeniable. What she held in her hands was more than just a piece of paper. It was a ticking time bomb wrapped in the quietest envelope, ready to break down the walls of Buckingham Palace. She stepped back, clutching the report to her chest as her eyes scanned the room. In the distance, the giggles of her children echoed down the hallway, completely unaware of the storm raging in her heart. Standing there, memories of whispered conversations at dinner and Charles's furtive glances over the years began to surface. Moments she once thought harmless now carried an undeniable truth she couldn't ignore. For months, even years, there had been whispers. A secret lineage, a child carrying Diana's blood, but not her name. Kate had always dismissed it as malicious rumors, but now in her trembling hands was proof that the royal family's perfect facade was hiding something dark. Something unspeakable. The timing couldn't be worse. Tensions between her and Charles had reached a breaking point over how she handled royal duties. But now she saw everything from a different perspective. Had he known all along? Was this why he tried so hard to control her image to keep her in line? What she had just uncovered could destroy the entire royal family. And now she understood why so many had gone to great lengths to keep this secret. Kate sank into the nearest chair, her eyes fixed on the damning words, her cheeks wet before she even realized she was crying. The soft sound of her own sobs filled the quiet room. She didn't know what to do, who to trust, or where to go from here. But one thing was certain, she would never forget this truth. As Kate clutched the shocking results in her hands, memories of Diana's vague warnings began to resurface, and all the pieces seemed to fall into place. Before her tragic death, Diana had left mysterious warnings not just for her sons, but also for the future wife of the royal family. Words Kate once thought were mere nostalgia now carried a terrifying weight. Before today, Diana had woven her fears into messages no one fully understood at the time. Her hurried, almost frantic writing held a truth too dangerous to be revealed. Now Kate recalled the notes from Diana's diary once displayed in an exhibition at Althorp. Those words had seemed like wistful sadness. But standing here clutching the DNA report, those words cut into her mind like a blade. Diana had written, "One day she will know. When she is strong enough, she will understand why I couldn't say this." Kate's hands trembled as more memories surfaced. Letters Diana had sent to her closest friend, someone Kate barely knew, spoke of something she had discovered late in her marriage, a secret she warned must be kept at all costs. Those letters could no longer be dismissed as moments of panic. They hinted that the firm would do anything to protect its image, even if it meant silence forever. The way Diana described them, not just as a family, but as a calculating, ruthless machine, sent chills down Kate's spine as she pieced it all together. Conversations Kate had once had with Charles years ago now took on a terrifying new meaning. Once he casually remarked that some parts of Diana's life were better left buried. The contempt in his tone made Kate too afraid to ask any more. But now she hears the disdain in his words, a quiet threat lurking beneath. It's not the sadness he carries, but the weight of knowing too much. Then a chilling connection emerges, something no one dared to say aloud, yet everyone avoided. Diana's time outside the palace secret meetings, the shadow of a man never mentioned, but always present in her story. Suddenly it no longer feels like a rumor, it feels like a prophecy. Images of Diana's public suffering and struggles flooded Kate's mind. She no longer saw them as just the tragic history of a princess, but as a coded message about survival. Kate recalled Diana's famous photos, the direct gaze into the camera, both defiant and filled with anxiety. Only now did Kate truly understand that gaze wasn't just meant for the world, it was meant for her. A warning, a message, a sign for those who would come after. Diana didn't just leave traces of sorrow and rebellion, she had carved a path for Kate herself, etched in whispers, diary pages, and meaningful glances. Until one day, when the time comes, Kate will have the courage to continue down that path. And now, standing before that path, Kate feels the weight of what lies ahead, pressing on her chest like a crown of lead. Determined to uncover the truth, she begins a journey through Diana's secret archives. But what she finds only thickens the fog of mystery. Hidden deep beneath the quiet corridors of the Spencer estate, Althorp is a room filled with secrets covered in dust and carefully guarded for decades. And now, Kate, under the guise of a quiet retreat away from the watchful eyes of the London media, has arrived there. To everyone, including William, she says she needs silence to reflect, but deep down, she knows the truth. She's here to face the ghosts of the past. The grand, ancient estate seems to hold its breath as Kate steps inside. Every room seems to whisper about Diana, about betrayed beauty, about secrets never spoken aloud. And in that silence, Kate feels a powerful pull. She knew the next piece of the puzzle was somewhere within these walls. After a discreet conversation with the elderly housekeeper who had served the Spencer family for decades, Kate was led to a rarely visited area. At the end of a long corridor stood a narrow door, its brass handle-worn hinges creaking from years of neglect. The woman paused, her eyes meeting Kate's as if to say something, a silent warning, before quietly slipping away. Now Kate was alone. As she opened the door, a cold breath of air escaped like the room itself, exhaling a truth hidden for many years. The room was small but heavy with history. Dust-covered bookshelves and neatly stacked boxes of files filled the room. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary old portraits notebook stationery embossed with the Spencer family crest. But then, in a corner, she spotted 3 boxes tied with faded silver ribbons bearing Diana's unmistakable handwriting. The inscription read, "For Catherine, when the time comes." Kate's heart pounded as she opened the first box. Inside were hastily written letters like confessions from a desperate woman trying to preserve her truth before it was erased. Each page revealed secret meetings, whispered conversations, and quiet investigations Diana had undertaken herself to uncover the truth behind her own life. Interspersed among the letters were faded photographs worn by time but undeniable. In the pictures was Diana and a man Kate had never seen before. The man's face stood out almost regal and strangely familiar in a way that sent chills down her spine. Beneath the letters and photos lay a carefully sealed envelope labeled simply DNA. Kate opened it and saw test results showing that Diana herself had begun the journey to uncover the truth, now consuming Kate whole. Diana didn't just suspect. She knew. Kate trembled as she stared again at the man's face, trying to memorize every detail. There was something in his eyes, something unnamed, but it made Kate shiver. He wasn't part of the royal family, but somehow carried a connection no one dared to mention. Then the truth, slowly, painfully emerged. Kate wasn't just following clues, she was walking straight into a storm Diana had long foreseen. As Kate traced the hints in the royal records, the truth revealed itself even more shocking than she imagined. The man's name was only whispered in the darkest corners of royal rumors. A man with Diana's eyes and a connection to the throne that no one dared to reveal. Do you think this is real? If you believe it, leave a 2 below. If you're skeptical, comment 5. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you won't miss the next secrets. Now enjoy the video. Kate stared intently at the photos in her hands. Her heart raced as the pieces began to fit together in an unimaginable way. The man repeatedly appearing in Diana's letters and photos, always by her side but never stepping into the light, had now become the center of a secret too dangerous to speak aloud. His presence in Diana's life was no longer speculation. She had written about him. Each page described secret meetings, stolen moments behind the palace's back. The way she wrote about him was more than friendship, more than rebellion. It was something intimate, clear, and deliberate. Then Kate saw the unimaginable, that face, those eyes, eerily resembling Harry. Not Harry himself, but like a grown, weathered version carrying the shadows of years in exile. The resemblance was so striking it gave Kate chills. And this very likeness had sparked the ugliest rumors. Could this man be more than just a confidant? Could he be the cause of the silent anger Harry carries, the feeling of never truly belonging? As Kate dug deeper, she searched for documents about this man, or at least what she hoped to find. But the official records had vanished. Faded documents' names crossed out dates, altered as if someone had meticulously erased every trace of him from history, leaving only whispers in the shadows. Driven by a desperate need for the truth, Kate sought out one of Diana's oldest confidants. After weeks of quiet searching, she finally gained access. At first, the woman refused to say anything, her lips pressed tight, as if a lifetime had been spent guarding secrets. But when Kate placed the photo on the table, something inside her shattered. With a trembling voice, she confessed what the royal family had denied for decades. The man in the photo was real, and his story was the final chapter in Diana's rebellion against the monarchy. He was not just a memory, he was alive, and he held the key to Diana's last act, an act that could now shake the very foundations of the British royal family. Each new revelation sent Kate's world spinning further, but despite the fear tightening around her, she knew she could not stop now. Though still shaken to her core, Kate did not falter. She knew the path she was on went beyond that of a royal daughter-in-law. This was a journey to seek justice for a woman swallowed by royal secrets. But the next discovery brought Kate face to face with the last person she least expected to betray her Charles. Beneath his calm exterior was a man who had known the truth from the very beginning and chose to bury it forever. Kate confronted him, her heart burning with anger, holding the files that had turned her entire world upside down. She found him sitting alone, quietly lost in thought, his hands clasped as if readying himself with excuses for an inevitable confrontation. At first, Charles remained unmoved. He didn't even glance at the papers Kate pushed toward him. With his usual cold detachment, he dismissed everything as fabrication, insisting Kate was swept up in rumors and the ghosts of Diana's mental struggles. But Kate did not back down. As she began reading aloud Diana's handwritten notes, the names, the dates, the secret meetings she had uncovered, Charles's expression cracked if only for a fleeting moment. But for Kate, that was enough to see what he was hiding. Then he let go of his mask, sighing wearily, and admitted everything. Yes, the man Kate had uncovered was real. And yes, he had been part of Diana's life in ways the public was never meant to imagine. But what stunned Kate most was Charles's confession that he had known all along. With a low, almost resigned voice, he spoke of a silence agreement made after Diana's final rebellion. A secret pact that lasted for decades to bury the existence of that man, erase all records, silence the rumors, and quell the press. It was to protect the institution, he said hollowly, as if those words could ease his conscience. But to Kate, that was no excuse. It was betrayal. Rage surged through her, making her voice tremble. She confronted Charles, accusing him of sacrificing Diana to save the crown, of letting her suffer, of letting her die, while he, the one who could have spoken up, chose silence. Kate's words cut through the air like a knife, each sentence a brutal truth she could no longer swallow. Charles remained calm, insisting that silence was a necessary price to protect the throne. That if the truth were revealed, the monarchy would collapse beyond repair. But to Kate, that price was paid in blood and tears of a human being. She saw herself in Diana, realizing she too had been caught in the machinery of silence and denial. Though always loyal, always upholding the royal image, Kate now understood she had been just another link in a system that trampled truth in the name of duty. A part of her shattered. Then the final piece came from an unexpected place, William's past. Kate knew she couldn't keep this secret to herself. That night, when the children were fast asleep and the palace corridors were silent, she walked over to William, her hands trembling as she placed the fateful papers in front of the man she loved. At first, William only furrowed his brow as if expecting a misunderstanding or some trivial family matter. But when his eyes landed on the names, the dates and the clear DNA results, his body froze. The silence between them thickened, suffocating, until he looked up at her. And with just one glance, she knew he had always known. He tried to deny it, whispering that it couldn't be true, that the family had suffered enough, that things like this no longer happened in modern times. but his memories betrayed him. Kate saw doubt melt into agonizing despair. William's face turned pale as memories of his mother, the whispered words in the dark, the resilient tears, the cries for help no one heard rushed in like a flood. And with them came rage. William was furious at the silent father, furious at the system that let his mother be suffocated to death over a truth that should have been spoken aloud. For the first time, he dared to ask himself, could everything he had ever believed about his family be nothing more than an elaborate lie? He thought of Harry, his younger brother, who always carried an unnamed wound, a doubt about his place in the royal world. And then the truth struck like a sword. If the DNA was real, then Harry's entire life, his identity, his pain, his distance, all stemmed from a secret that had never been named. William held his head, sitting in silence, caught between two futures. On one side, silence, continuing to live for the throne as if it were fate. On the other side was the truth recklessly exposing what Diana had desperately wanted to reveal, even if the cost was title family and the fragile stability of the royal regime. That choice seemed impossible. Kate grasped his hand, her voice choked with emotion. She begged him to see what was truly at stake, not just the throne, but justice for a mother. She reminded him of Diana's courage, of the path she had quietly laid out for them, filled with blood, tears, and hope. Diana had suffered in silence because no one dared to stand by her side. But now her son, and the only daughter-in-law she had ever chosen, had a chance to change that. "Don't let her last secret die with you," Kate whispered. "Don't let her suffer in vain." Her words hung between them like a vow, a promise with no turning back for either of them. William fell silent, his eyes shining with inner conflict, torn between the child who once vowed to protect his mother and the man carrying the weight of the kingdom on his shoulders. But before William could make a decision, an unexpected ally appeared, forcing Kate into a storm she never wished to face. While Kate and William were still struggling with their pain, Camilla quietly prepared her next move, a calculated step to protect the position she had painstakingly secured. In a palace sustained by silence and secrets, nothing can stay hidden forever. The whispers reached Camilla's ears even before the door to William and Kate's room could close. Camilla, the woman who had survived decades of scrutiny, scheming, and manipulation, understood the cost of power better than anyone else, and she had no intention of letting it all collapse over a secret from the past. Kate hadn't anticipated her. Camilla appeared unannounced in Kate's private room without knocking, her expression calm, but her eyes sharp and cold as knives. She congratulated Kate on uncovering the truth, as if Kate had reached some dark milestone. Then she sat down gently, her voice soft like a mother's, yet carrying an invisible threat. Camilla confessed that she had known Diana's secret for years, that she had quietly watched all the pieces fall into place and then turned it into power, staying silent when necessary in exchange for the position she now held. Kate couldn't believe her ears. Every word Camilla spoke was like a cold, sharp blade, not screaming or shouting, but enough to freeze anyone's heart. Then the real threat came softly like a breeze. If Kate dared to reveal the truth, not only would the monarchy collapse, but she herself would be destroyed. Camilla warned that if Kate stepped into the light, the old stories about her family, her past, even her marriage could accidentally be exposed. The air seemed to freeze. Kate, trained in the calm composure of royalty, still managed to keep her voice steady. She reminded Camilla that it was silence that had killed Diana, that the truth deserved to be revealed no matter the cost. Camilla only smiled a smile that didn't reach her eyes, and then spoke her final words. "If you dare to go public, you won't just destroy the monarchy. You'll bring yourself down with it." That night, Kate couldn't sleep. Camilla's words echoed in her mind like poison, eroding her trust, but not extinguishing the fire in her heart. She could no longer remain silent. She could no longer live behind the dazzling curtains that hid murderous secrets within. And then Kate made a desperate but courageous decision. She would reveal the truth to the world. The next morning, a cold gray sky hung over Kensington. Outside the gates, the media had been secretly gathered. Breaking every royal protocol, Kate stepped out in a simple outfit holding the paper's DNA evidence that had shaken the entire palace. She began to speak, not as a princess nor a future queen, but as a woman demanding justice for a forgotten mother. She didn't tell Diana's story as a legend, but as a real woman, brave, wounded, and betrayed. She spoke of her journey, of the pain, the inner turmoil, and the whispers buried within the royal stone walls. Then, with trembling hands, Kate raised the DNA documents. She confirmed Diana had another son, a hidden heir. Cameras captured every word, every tear, every breathless pause. The world fell silent, then exploded. Within minutes, the news spread worldwide. Sensational headlines flooded the papers. Diana's last secret revealed: the rejected heir steps into the light. Kate Middleton breaks the silence, exposes the royal truth. And then a wave of support rose. Kate was called not just a princess, but the voice for Diana, something Diana herself was never allowed to be. Yet the biggest question remained: where was the secret son? And then he appeared. A man quietly stepped onto the podium, his face calm but resolute, as if years spent in the shadows had forged him into someone unstoppable. The world held its breath. He spoke briefly, but every word was like a hammer breaking down decades of lies. He called Diana his mother without hesitation, without apology. He thanked Kate for the courage he himself had never dared to have. He spoke of the years living fully aware of who he was, yet choosing silence to protect the memory of a wounded mother. And then, the question everyone feared but awaited: did he intend to claim the position that was rightfully his? He didn't answer directly. He simply said, "Blood can be denied, but it cannot be erased." Inside the palace, chaos reigned. William and Harry stood apart, their faces unreadable. Charles stood silent as a statue, while Camilla wore an expressionless face, though her eyes were cold as steel. The family that had once been united by unspoken rules was now torn apart by an undeniable truth. When the camera lights went off, Kate collapsed into William's arms, her tears soaking his shoulder while his tears silently fell. They both knew from this moment on nothing could ever go back to the way it was. Outside the palace gates, the public's reaction was no less intense. Some saw him as the rightful heir deserving of his place, but many others viewed him as a symbol of all the wrongs and injustices within the monarchy. Calls for answers, transparency, and accountability grew louder, demanding a serious reckoning that no statement from the palace could satisfy. Yet amid the chaos, there were also tears of empathy, grief, and solidarity directed toward Diana's son, who now stood openly before the public, no longer hidden away. As he finished his speech, the cameras caught a glimpse of Kate standing at the sidelines, her hand gently resting on her belly, silently promising to protect her children from similar suffering. Diana's image remained ever present in everyone's minds. Her resilience and sorrow were now acknowledged and honored. Her story was no longer just a cautionary tale, it had become a profound revolution. As the palace gates closed and the cameras faded away, one thing was certain: the monarchy would never be the same again. What do you think about this story? Do you believe the monarchy will be changed forever? Leave your comments below. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support the channel and never miss the next stories. Thank you all for watching until the very end. If you want to continue exploring untold secrets, remember to like and subscribe. See you in the next video. When Queen Camilla bent down to speak with Princess Charlotte, she didn't realize that Catherine was watching. And what happened next changed everything. It all started like a typical spring weekend in the royal schedule, planned down to the minute, packed with family obligations and set against the backdrop of Windsor Castle. But something about this particular gathering made Princess Catherine feel uneasy. Over the years, she had learned to trust her instincts, especially when it came to her children. Leave a comment with number 1 and join us as we uncover the royal family's deepest secrets. That day, Charlotte was unusually quiet, not irritable or angry, just withdrawn, as if she were trying to blend into the background. This was completely unlike her. The family had gathered at Windsor Castle for a private lunch held in honor of one of the Queen Consort's recent charitable initiatives. Occasions like these weren't uncommon, but they brought multiple generations of the royal family together under one roof. Camilla's circle, Catherine's family, and often a mix of extended royals didn't always get along seamlessly. Catherine didn't mind these events, but she was always cautious. While Prince William could comfortably slip into his role, she had to stay alert to everything. That afternoon, Charlotte was asked to join a group of younger royal cousins in a side sitting room. The space was formal enough, but by royal standards, fairly relaxed. The children were expected to behave properly, make polite conversation, and enjoy afternoon tea, while the adults socialized in the main hall. Catherine helped Charlotte to her seat, kissed her forehead, and left the room with one last glance. Everything seemed fine, at least for the moment. But something had changed after that. About 45 minutes into the gathering, Catherine was speaking with a senior courtier when she caught sight of Charlotte walking past an open doorway in the hallway. She wasn't crying, but her face was pale and her lips pressed into a tight, thin line. She looked hurt, not the scraped knee kind of hurt, but something deeper, emotional. Catherine excused herself mid-conversation and followed. She found Charlotte standing alone at the end of the hallway near a service door. The child's hands were tightly clasped in front of her chest, her eyes fixed on the floor. "What happened?" Catherine asked softly. Charlotte hesitated. "Nothing, Mother." But Catherine knelt down to Charlotte's eye level. "I know when something is wrong, dear." Charlotte's voice was soft. "Camilla said you were bragging. She told you not to talk unless asked." Catherine blinked. "When did she say that?" "When I answered a question for Louis," Charlotte said. "We were just playing a guessing game," but she was angry. Catherine didn't respond right away. She pulled Charlotte into a hug, calm on the outside, but inside everything had shifted. She had always tried to maintain peace with Camilla, even if their relationship felt more like a forced dance than a natural bond. Camilla had her own views on hierarchy and decorum, and while she often masked them with a smile, her tone sometimes revealed more than her words. Still, Catherine had believed that the subtle digs and occasional dismissiveness would never be directed at her children. But she had been wrong. Later, Catherine sat beside Charlotte during the family walk through the gardens. Camilla walked ahead arm in arm with King Charles, chatting as if the morning had been entirely without tension. Catherine watched her closely. Now it wasn't just about the comment. It was the fact that Charlotte had felt the need to hide how she was feeling. After the garden walk, the family gathered back inside. Catherine observed everything subtly. At one point, Charlotte reached for a second scone at the buffet table. Camilla turned, glanced down, and said with a half-smile, "Perhaps one is enough, darling. We wouldn't want to appear greedy, would we, once again?" Now Catherine saw it clearly. This wasn't a one-off. It was a pattern. Small moments that on their own might not seem harsh, but when directed repeatedly at the same child, they began to add up. Catherine didn't react right away. She wasn't the type to make a scene, but her silence was always intentional, and now she had every reason not to stay silent any longer. William hadn't noticed anything. He was tied up with Charles and a few senior aides discussing the schedule. But that evening, back at Adelaide Cottage, Catherine would bring it up not as a duchess, but as a mother who could no longer ignore what she had seen. But before that conversation could happen, something else occurred. Catherine didn't enter royal life expecting it to be easy. She understood the responsibilities, the unspoken rules, and the need to maintain a public image while facing the realities behind the scenes. But one thing she would never accept and never tolerate was anyone making her child feel small, especially someone within the family. The moment came just after the tea was cleared away. The adults moved into a sitting room connected to the main exhibition hall, an old routine dating back to the Queen's time. The children were allowed to stay for a while before being taken upstairs by the nanny. Charlotte entered with George and Louis, her expression neutral. She sat by the fireplace, flipping through a book taken from the shelf. At that moment, Camilla walked in holding a glass of water, softly laughing with a long-time aide. She looked cheerful. She saw the children, gave a brief smile, then turned back to the adults. But just minutes later, the laughter faded. George and Louis had moved over to their grandfather, standing beside Charles, while Charlotte remained seated in the armchair. A few minutes later, Charlotte politely asked Camilla, "May I play the piano for a bit?" Camilla turned around. "The piano, yes," Charlotte said. "Just a little softly." Camilla took a sip of water, then looked directly at her. "Darling, that's not necessary. Let the adults have some peace. Why don't you sit still like a proper little lady, not loud, not cruel, but deliberate?" The words were sharp. Charlotte's cheeks flushed red. She quietly closed her book and folded her hands together. Catherine heard it. She was standing nearby talking with Lady Lansdowne. Her eyes shifted from Charlotte to Camilla. She didn't say anything right away, but her gaze lingered longer than usual, and Camilla noticed. Their eyes met for a moment before Camilla looked away. The room carried on. Conversations resumed, but the atmosphere had changed. That night at Adelaide Cottage, Catherine put Charlotte to bed herself. The house was quieter now. William was finishing a call with his private secretary, and George was already asleep. Catherine sat on the edge of Charlotte's bed and asked, "Were you upset today?" Charlotte looked uncertain. "A little, but I'm okay. You don't have to pretend," Catherine said gently. Charlotte nodded. "Granny Camilla doesn't like it when I talk too much." It was the truth, direct and unmistakable. Catherine kissed Charlotte's forehead, stood up, and walked down the hallway. Passing William's study, he looked up. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I'm trying," Catherine replied. William leaned back in his chair. "What happened?" Catherine told him everything, not angrily, but clearly. She repeated Charlotte's words, then described Camilla's cold remarks, the dismissiveness, and the repeated efforts to diminish Charlotte's presence. William listened without interrupting, but when Catherine finished, his jaw clenched. "We can't just ignore this," she said. "I agree," he replied, "but we'll handle it carefully." The next morning, Catherine decided to keep Charlotte home, skipping the next scheduled event. It was a charity garden project that Camilla had arranged for the royal children. Catherine made the excuse that Charlotte had a mild cold, but the truth was she didn't want her daughter in that environment any longer, not until she was sure it was safe. The news reached Camilla that Charlotte wouldn't be attending. She said little, just raised an eyebrow when an aide mentioned it. Then she muttered, "Probably too delicate to handle a bit of mud." Catherine heard that too. Royals often say more than they admit. The situation might have ended there if not for what happened the following weekend. It was a small, private dinner at Highgrove. Charles had invited both William and Catherine, hoping for a relaxed evening. The plan was simple: spend family time, reconnect, and discuss upcoming royal tours. But when Catherine entered the main sitting room with Charlotte, who had only come to say goodnight to her grandfather before bed, things escalated quickly. Camilla barely looked up from her chair by the fireplace. Charlotte entered, offering a polite smile, and said, "Good evening, Granny." Camilla didn't return the smile. Instead, she said, "You're not too tired to be here? I hope it was a thinly veiled jab." And everyone in the room heard it. Catherine's eyes never left Camilla. This time, she didn't wait until afterward. Her silence alone was enough to shift the atmosphere. The polite smile she'd worn upon entering was gone, replaced by something sharper. She turned to Charlotte and said calmly, "Why don't you say goodnight to Grandpa and then head upstairs with Anna?" Charlotte, a little confused, looked at her mother. Catherine nodded gently. The girl walked over to Charles, hugged him, and then left the room with the family nanny. As the door closed, a heavy silence filled the room. Camilla remained seated, still holding her glass of wine. She glanced around, then muttered quietly, "The child's too sensitive, isn't she?" William stiffened. His father shifted uncomfortably in his chair, but Catherine stepped forward, choosing her words carefully. "No, she's not too sensitive. She's a child, and she deserves to be spoken to with kindness." Camilla raised an eyebrow. "I didn't mean that. I'm just surprised she's still awake at this hour. There's nothing to be upset about." Catherine didn't blink. "It's not just tonight. This has been happening for weeks. I've heard what's been said to her, and so has she." The room grew colder. Charles tried to intervene. "Darling, perhaps we should—" "No," Catherine cut him off, calm but firm. "If it were just a single comment, we might let it go. But this isn't one time. It's a pattern, and I won't stand by while my daughter is made to feel lesser." Camilla looked to William, hoping he would speak, but he remained silent. His silence spoke louder than words. "I've tried to keep the peace," Catherine continued, "because that's what's expected of me. I've overlooked the off moments. But this is different. This involves Charlotte, and I will not let anyone, no matter who they are, undermine her confidence." Camilla set down her glass of wine and finally leaned forward. "You're reading too much into this," Camilla said. "You always take things too seriously. Children are resilient." Catherine's expression didn't change. Children remember how they are spoken to, especially by those who are meant to protect them. There was no drama. Catherine didn't get angry or raise her voice, but the strength in her tone was undeniable. It was the voice of a mother who had drawn a clear line. William finally spoke up. "We're only asking for basic respect. Charlotte hasn't done anything wrong. She's just being herself. That shouldn't be a problem." Camilla looked to Charles, but he remained silent. He knew better than to intervene. Catherine was drawing a line, and once she had, there was no turning back. After a few tense minutes, Catherine excused herself and left. William followed shortly after. Upstairs, Catherine sat again by Charlotte's bed. This time, she didn't ask if something was wrong. She simply held her daughter's hand. "You haven't done anything wrong," she told Charlotte. "You were polite, you were kind, and that's all I ask of you. Charlotte looked up at her mother. "I tried." "You don't have to try to be perfect," Catherine said. "You just have to be yourself." Downstairs, Charles tried to ease the tension by changing the subject. Camilla said little. She didn't apologize, but she also didn't offer any further justification. That night at Adelaide Cottage, Catherine and William talked in their private room. Catherine remained calm, but the day had clearly worn on her. "She doesn't have to like me," she said, "but she must respect Charlotte. That's non-negotiable." "She will," William replied, "because we won't let this go on." The days that followed remained polite but different. The next event was Charlotte's school performance at Lambrook, and Catherine decided to invite only close family. Camilla was not invited. The palace cited a scheduling conflict, but those involved knew the true meaning. In the press, nothing changed. Smiling photos were released as usual, showing unity and grace. But behind palace walls, a shift had taken place. Camilla still appeared at major events, but she kept her distance from Charlotte. There were no more offhand remarks, no lingering glances, at least not within Catherine's earshot. But Catherine had drawn a clear line. And even in a family built on centuries of hierarchy and deference, some boundaries cannot be crossed without consequences. However, things were far from settled. Camilla had been warned, but she hadn't forgotten. And the next time the family gathered at Balmoral in the summer, another moment pushed everything to the brink. Balmoral has always been Charles's refuge, a place to breathe, to walk, to think, without the glare of cameras. For decades, it was the late Queen's favorite retreat, and the family still honors that rhythm. Every summer, they gather there. It's tradition. But this year, beneath the fresh Scottish air and peaceful countryside, the mood had shifted. Catherine agreed to come, but with boundaries. She and William brought all 3 children as usual. Yet Catherine made it clear to William that she would never leave Charlotte alone even for a moment with Camilla. Everyone arrived according to the multi-day schedule. Charles was the first to greet them at the estate, arms open and cheerful. He adored his grandchildren and looked forward to spending time with them. Camilla arrived a day later, accompanied by her usual entourage and a carefully selected wardrobe. She had remained silent since the incident at Highgrove. She hadn't spoken directly to Catherine since then, only exchanging brief, formal words at public events. The first few days at Balmoral passed peacefully: long walks, horseback riding, dinners filled with laughter. Charlotte began to relax. Catherine saw her daughter gradually return to herself, chatting animatedly at breakfast, running across the fields with George and Louis, even helping a kitchen staff member bake cakes one afternoon. But then the moment came while Catherine was in the sitting room with Lady Sarah Chatto and a few aides. William had gone fishing with Charles. The children were playing in the garden, supervised by 2 staff members. It was the first time since arriving that Catherine had taken her eyes off them for more than 5 minutes. Then a palace aide leaned in and said, "I believe Princess Charlotte is in the sunroom with the Queen." Catherine froze. She didn't move immediately, but those words echoed in her mind. Without explanation, she excused herself and quickly made her way toward the sunroom. As she approached, she heard 2 voices. One was Camilla's, the other Charlotte's. Catherine paused and listened. "We don't always have to drown out others," Charlotte Camilla was saying. "What matters is listening. Sometimes your mother forgets that too." Charlotte didn't respond. Catherine opened the door. Camilla looked up surprised. "I'm looking for you," Catherine said evenly. "I'm looking for you, my dear." Charlotte stood up and walked straight to her mother. "We were just having a conversation," Camilla said, her tone gentle but with a hint of edge. "I heard that," Catherine replied. Camilla raised an eyebrow. The child was just... Catherine cut her off, still calm. The child is just a child, and she doesn't need to be corrected every time she speaks. Camilla crossed her arms. I've raised children. I know when a girl is growing up too fast for her own good. The child is growing up just fine, Catherine said firmly, and she will do so without being made to feel like a problem. There was no yelling, just clarity, the kind that leaves no room for argument. I want to see more kindness shown around her, Catherine added. That shouldn't be too much to ask. Camilla said nothing. Her silence was calculated, but Catherine no longer cared. She had spent years protecting the institution. Now her focus had shifted to something far more important, protecting her daughter. After they left the room, Catherine knelt beside Charlotte in the hallway. You did nothing wrong, she whispered. Charlotte nodded, tears welling in her eyes. You never have to be afraid to speak up, Catherine told her. By the end of the weekend, palace staff noticed that Camilla kept her distance. During meals, she sat farther away from the children. She made no comments about their behavior, clothing, or tone. It was a subtle shift, but in the royal world, subtlety means everything. Catherine didn't explode. She didn't cause a scandal, but her presence drew a boundary no one could cross. Even Charles, who hoped time would ease the tensions, knew better than to intervene. He loved both women dearly, but he understood that when Catherine stood firm, she did so with reason and final resolve. That summer ended with the familiar photos, the family on the castle steps, smiling for the press, waving to supporters. But inside, everything had changed. Camilla had lost what she hadn't realized was slipping away the tolerance Catherine had maintained for the sake of appearances. That tolerance was gone now, and while the world saw a united royal family behind closed doors, a mother had made sure her daughter would never feel small again. Thank you for watching the entire video. Please like and subscribe to support our channel. Or a short line on the official British Royal website, important announcement at 6 p.m. No details, no explanation. The whole world waits anxious. Is this bad news or a major power shift? When the screen lights up, it's not Charles or Camilla, but William and Kate delivering a message that shakes everything. The Diana Initiative is not just charity, but the first step in the royal family's hidden power struggle. Comment 1 if you're impressed by how they are changing the monarchy. Comment 0 if you think this is just a power play. Like and subscribe to the channel to uncover royal secrets. The media and the public are both wondering, is it a serious health issue or a sudden shift in the royal structure? No one knows, which only heightens the tension. While all eyes are on the royal family members, something unusual is slowly emerging. William and Kate, despite being absent from a previous public event, are the ones who step forward to deliver the message. At the exact hour, the screen lights up, and it's not Charles or Camilla, but William and Kate who appear. No extravagance, no crowns, just a simple setting and a powerful message. William, without any formal greeting, speaks directly. The monarchy is not just a symbol, it is a responsibility. This is not defiance, but a declaration of a new vision, a renewed approach for the royal family. Kate continues, her voice calm but firm. This is not about tradition, this is about trust. These words not only change how the monarchy is perceived, but also lay the foundation for a powerful transformation. They do not demand loyalty, only sincerity. And in a world full of secrets and concealment, that is true strength. A pivotal moment occurs when Kate announces the Diana Initiative, not just to honor her memory, but to restore and leverage the legacy Princess Diana left behind. This is not merely a commemorative ceremony. It is a concrete action to protect and advance the values Diana fought for throughout her life. Beyond bouquets or annual tributes, Kate is committed to making Diana's voice resonate louder, stronger, and more enduring. Kate refuses to let Diana's legacy be distorted or forgotten. She is determined to bring real value to what Princess Diana contributed through tangible actions, not empty words. This initiative is not just a commemorative gift, but a bold step to continue the journey Diana began. What we are witnessing today is not a revolution, but a rebirth in how the royal family is perceived. And it is William and Kate, with their calmness and determination, who are shaping a new chapter for the British monarchy, one where responsibility and trust come first. This is a moment for us to reflect, to better understand these changes, and to consider the role of the royal family in the 21st century. The Diana Initiative is not just a charity, it is a powerful commitment to carry forward the values Princess Diana left behind: kindness, sincerity, and genuine care for others. However, this is not an ordinary royal project. Kate, as the founder and leader, is not merely leveraging a name. She is creating real change from the heart. From the very beginning, she made it clear that she would not stand on the sidelines, but would be directly involved in building and shaping this organization. There are no stage lights or formal public moments. Kate chooses to go to places where help is truly needed: women's shelters, low-income communities, and areas where care and attention can make a real difference. She does this not to attract attention, but because she understands it as her responsibility, a practical step to change the lives of those who need their voices heard. This echoes the way Diana worked. She was always close to the people, engaging with them directly, and Kate's actions not only continue Diana's legacy, but also carry her personal imprint, a path shaped to meet the needs of today's world. The strength of this initiative comes from Kate's direct involvement within the royal system. This is not an external project. It is carried out from within the monarchy, drawing power not only from the present, but also from the future of William, Kate, and their children. Diana used kindness as a form of resistance. Kate is using it to lead. Support for Kate grows rapidly. Social media is overflowing with praise, with many calling her the Queen of the People. But this is not just about nostalgia for the past. This is a moment witnessing a woman stepping forward as a future queen, not because of a crown, but because of the true leadership she is demonstrating right now. However, not everyone is pleased by this. Camilla, who has spent years trying to regain respect, feels uneasy. The fact that Diana, even in death, once again commands such strong attention has reopened old wounds. Yet it is the palace's silence that speaks the loudest. What do you think of Kate's actions? Is she truly acting for the community? Or is this a masterful power move to assert her position against the shadows of the past? Kate is doing what Camilla fears most, reviving Diana's glory to win the hearts of the people. The palace's silence now signals that a storm of power is about to unfold. How do you rate the poise of this future queen? Leave a 2. If you're convinced by Kate, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the palace's next counter move. There is no congratulatory message, no official support from King Charles or Queen Camilla. This silence feels like a profound response, a sign that tensions are quietly brewing behind the scenes. William and Kate have created a new wave, but not everyone in the palace is ready to embrace it. There may be no official royal praise, but this only highlights one truth. Kate is doing something different, not just for a royal event, but for the community. It makes people reflect and truly feel the power of genuine actions. William has clearly defined his goal not to seek approval, but to execute a strategy. Tensions with his father, King Charles, are rising as Charles feels his own spotlight fading. Rather than undermining the monarchy, William is working to preserve it. The tension escalates as Camilla reacts sharply to the Diana initiative, and Kate responds firmly that this work is about the future, not the past. The rift within the royal family becomes increasingly evident, and the media continuously reports on the quiet tensions unfolding behind palace walls. Camilla feels cornered as the Diana initiative commands all the royal attention, while William grows frustrated that his stepmother has turned their work into a political issue. The palace's silence only worsens the situation. Tensions reach a peak when King Charles demands an explanation about the initiative, but William refuses to yield, asserting that this is a matter of survival, not protocol. The meeting ends without agreement, and details of the dispute begin to leak, revealing that this is not merely a disagreement, but a power struggle between two generations. The Diana initiative has created a major turning point within the royal family, gaining strong public support with hashtags like "Royalty of the People" spreading across social media. People feel they have found a royal family that understands them. However, the question remains whether this initiative is truly about change or merely a power struggle. At first, Kate and William took genuine actions, engaging in charity work and climate negotiations, winning public admiration and strong donations. Yet behind the scenes, the palace's response was very different. William and Kate bypassed the royal system, launching the movement without informing King Charles or Camilla. This is not just a bold move, but a calculated strategy, making them an unstoppable force. The Diana initiative is not merely a tribute. It has become a weapon in the covert battle for control. Insider sources reveal that William and Kate aim not only to modernize the monarchy, but to reshape it in their own way. And to achieve this, they must sideline those who do not fit. Harry and Meghan, with their outspoken and independent voices, are the first targets. With Harry and Meghan gone, space opened up to build something new. Now, while Charles battles illness and Camilla strives to maintain her position, William and Kate are quietly seizing power, not by waiting, but through action. They have become the center of everything, the face of charitable work, the voice of the people, and the future of the crown. Yet they have done this in their own way, disregarding tradition, bypassing palace approval, and sidelining those who do not fit their plans. To the public, it may seem like service, but to those within the palace, it is strategy. They are not just rewriting the monarchy, they are quietly replacing it without seeking permission. Prince Harry supports the Diana initiative. What should have been a moment of unity instead touches a sensitive nerve for William. The statement, "Mom's legacy realized," draws global attention, but backstage it leaves William surprised and frustrated. A tense phone call erupts between the brothers, with William criticizing Harry for publicly making the declaration without prior notice. This dispute is not just a simple disagreement, but a profound power struggle between two generations within the royal family. Kate, caught in the middle, remains focused on the initiative, yet media attention on the family conflict only makes things more difficult. Previously, William and Harry had stood together to usher the monarchy into a new era after the death of their mother, Princess Diana. But now, something darker is unfolding. William is not just stepping up, he is pushing Harry out of his position, turning this minor dispute into a symbol of major change within the royal family. According to Harry, the clash between him and William stemmed from William's anger toward Meghan. He called her difficult, rude, and blunt. Harry saw clearly that his own family had begun speaking like the press. It wasn't just about arguments. Harry stated that palace staff turned against him and Meghan, spreading rumors to make them look bad, while William and Kate remained silent, offering no support. William and Kate had begun methodically paving the way to ascend. Anyone who didn't fit the image they wanted was quietly sidelined, and Harry, with his outspoken and unyielding attitude, became the easiest target. While King Charles battles illness, attention gradually shifts. William and Kate are moving closer to the throne, but to achieve this, they have had to clear the way, removing those who no longer fit their plans. Meghan was the first to leave, and now only 2 remain. No public declaration was needed. Through silence and subtle action, William created space for himself and Kate. Initially, everything seemed sincere. Kate engaged in charitable activities, visiting shelters, while William quietly participated in climate negotiations, listening like everyone else. The public loved that humility, and donations poured into charities with thousands ready to volunteer. But behind those actions, the reality was different, and both William and Kate understood that. They bypassed the royal system, launching a large-scale public movement without informing King Charles or Queen Camilla. This was not just a bold move, but a carefully calculated one. They knew the palace would be caught off guard. And indeed, they became the center of attention, not only prominent, but unstoppable. The Diana Initiative is not merely a tribute. It is a weapon in the covert battle for control of the royal family. Sources reveal that William and Kate aim not only to modernize the monarchy, but to create an entirely new image. And to achieve this, they must remove those who do not fit. Harry and Meghan, with their outspoken and independent voices, were the first to be sidelined. With Harry and Meghan gone, space opened up to build something new. Now, while Charles battles illness and Camilla strives to maintain her position, William and Kate are quietly moving into positions of power. Not by waiting, but by action. They have made themselves the face of all charitable activities, the voice of the people, and the future of the crown. Yet it is not simply about honoring a legacy. Kate is gradually preparing for the future, a future in which Camilla is uncertain of her place. Camilla, though holding the crown, constantly worries about losing power. And while Kate and William prepare for the future, Camilla continues to protect what she has claimed. The relationship between Camilla and Kate has not always been smooth. Although outwardly they may appear cordial, behind the scenes, things can be much more tense. Camilla wants to maintain her influence within the royal family, especially as King Charles faces illness. However, Kate and William have an entirely different vision for the future of the monarchy. According to insider sources, once Charles abdicates, Kate and William may reconsider Camilla's role and potentially limit her power. This is certainly not a scenario Camilla desires. Despite years of striving to achieve her position, her image remains haunted by the past. The public still remembers her as the woman who came between Charles and Diana, and those memories continue to strongly influence perceptions. Yet the silence from Kate and William serves as a powerful tool for shaping the future. With each step, they are gradually sidelining those who do not fit their vision. They do not need to make public announcements or speak openly about the changes. Silence, outward respect, and discreet actions have made their work easier than ever. And when Harry stepped up to support the Diana Initiative, it was meant to be a moment of unity. Yet behind it lay family tension. Harry's continual acts of defiance only made William feel more hurt. Although Harry said that Diana's work belongs to everyone, the confrontation between him and William became increasingly apparent. This was not just a simple argument. It symbolizes the power struggle within the royal family, a battle that not everyone is ready to accept. Kate and William are gradually shaping their future while Camilla and others cling to the past. Thank you for watching the video. You've probably noticed the royal family tensions and the major changes William and Kate are leading. Will they succeed in reshaping the monarchy? What will the relationships between Kate, Camilla, and Harry look like? Leave your comments below and share your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. Turn on notifications to stay updated with the latest news from us. See you in the next video. In the shadows of royal power, deep secrets still exist. But when the fortress of silence begins to crack, the whole world witnesses a grueling battle between duty and life itself. The story of Princess Catherine is not just about health. It is a struggle between eternity and true humanity, one that has forever changed the image of the crown. Do you sympathize with this courage? Comment 1 if you admire it, or 0 if you have a different perspective. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can explore the mystery together. There are moments when time itself seems to stand still, when even the most solid stone walls of history cannot hold back the ripples of change. Buckingham Palace has just released a message that has shaken the hearts of millions. Gone are the rigid formalities of royal protocol. King Charles and Prince William appeared together in a rare moment of shared empathy, opening up about a profoundly challenging chapter in the life of Princess Catherine. For months, speculation hung over London like a thick fog. Yet when the truth was finally revealed, its weight surpassed all imagination. As the world holds its breath, the British royal family is confronting a stark reality, one where titles and crowns offer no shield against the unforgiving laws of nature. Before we unravel the deeper meanings of this turning point for the future of the monarchy, join us by subscribing to stay updated with the most authentic and insightful information. In a rare display of unity, the monarch and his heir stood side by side. On their faces, there was no trace of their usual majesty, only the weight of compassion. For an institution that has long held composure as its guiding principle, this moment marked a painful break from tradition. The words were spoken softly, yet their impact felt like a psychological earthquake. This was not an ordinary medical update. It was a vulnerable confession that shattered the illusion of perfection the palace had carefully upheld for over a century. William, long known for his steely resolve, now appeared with an emotion he could scarcely conceal. His voice, though still measured, carried undertones of uncertainty. King Charles, in a moment that transcended his role as sovereign, referred to Catherine as the heart of the family. This was not merely the voice of a monarch. It was the voice of a father watching a loved one endure the storm. That very sincerity sparked an emotional wave that resonated across the globe. From the flickering candles at Windsor to messages sent across oceans, the world is sharing a solemn, reverent silence. Everything has changed because deep down, we all understand this truth. Behind those gilded iron gates lies a quiet battle for peace. But what led to this heartbreaking turning point? To grasp the reality, we must turn back time to the moment when the first cracks began to appear. Princess Catherine's absence was initially regarded as nothing more than a routine period of rest. Yet as days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the silence took on the weight of unease. There were no casual photographs, no radiant smiles before the camera's hallmarks of Catherine's public presence. Her complete withdrawal from public life raised a pressing question: was something beyond control unfolding behind the scenes? Even the closest security staff and aides were enveloped in an atmosphere of strict discretion. Privacy was no longer a choice. It had become the final fortress protecting what mattered most. When official engagements were canceled without clear explanation, and when representatives began relying on vague language, the public understood they were witnessing something unprecedented. An anonymous staff member once remarked, "Things are not as simple as what's written in the press." Now, as part of the truth has come to light, we realize that the greatest value lies not in leaked information, but in the inner strength of a human being facing adversity. Catherine, the woman long associated with grace, is writing a new chapter not through visibility, but through quiet courage. Everything has entered a new chapter, one that cannot be reversed. The image of an unchanging, flawless royal family is gradually giving way to a different reality. Behind the velvet curtains of the palace, truth is no longer something that can be neatly packaged and controlled. As the outside world begins to connect the scattered pieces, it becomes clear that this is not merely a delay in a recovery journey. It is the transformation of a legend where royal splendor is being forced to confront vulnerability and deeply human fears. Now, Prince William carries more than the weight of a future king's responsibility. In the shadows of the long corridors of Adelaide Cottage, he finds himself at the very center of the storm as a husband. Sources close to him describe a profound psychological shift. The familiar calm has been replaced by a constant undercurrent of worry. For the first time in his life, diplomatic rules and courtly protocol have become meaningless. This is not a media crisis to be managed. It is a battle to protect the woman he loves most. A battle in which political power has no voice. William, trained from childhood to restrain emotion, now finds himself surrounded by a sense of helplessness before fate. On sleepless nights gazing out the window, he is not searching for political solutions, but for a fragile glimmer of hope within the frightening stillness of the house. The breaking point did not come from natural events, but from a collision between two worlds. On one side, an advisory machine steadfast in its belief in strategic silence to preserve stability. On the other, the heart of someone living through the crisis. Heated debates erupted behind closed doors. Media experts worried about the turbulence of public opinion, but William saw something far more important: the dignity of truth. In a moment that defied all precedent, a private message was sent to the monarch, brief yet resolute. She deserves more than silence. It was a declaration marking the end of an era of forced mystery. William no longer cared about staged photographs or hollow press statements. His only concern was the woman who had walked beside him through life's highs and lows. As tensions reached their peak, King Charles, long known for his extreme caution, made a decision that would completely change the course of events. After witnessing his son's quiet pain and his daughter-in-law's resilience, every remaining barrier of protocol dissolved. In a historic meeting at Clarence House, the king affirmed, "No more hiding. Let the world see the strength of perseverance." This step marked a deeply human shift in power. After a brief private visit to Catherine's hospital bedside, the raw truth reached the heart of the head of the monarchy. What he saw was not a symbol recovering according to plan, but a soul striving to make its way through the valley of life's most grueling trials. When the king left Windsor with a pale face and a heavy spirit, the entire royal household understood the whispers were over, and a new reality had begun. The silence that followed was no longer meant to conceal, but a silence born of respect for a profoundly personal and courageous battle. Everything has truly changed, and history will remember this moment as proof that beneath the royal cloak, the heart remains the most powerful guide of all. In the quiet halls of the palace, an unprecedented struggle for power erupted, but not over the throne, rather over the truth. As cautious voices sought to wrap the situation in vague statements, King Charles exercised a rare prerogative, the decisiveness of a father. For the first time, he set aside all diplomatic convention in favor of transparency. This action not only sent shockwaves through those closest to the palace, but also healed a silent fracture. Charles and William, two generations of monarchy, found common ground in shared pain. They were no longer acting as king and heir, but as two men protecting a world threatened by an invisible adversity. Every word in the forthcoming message was weighed not to preserve appearances, but to honor the dignity of a mother and a wife fighting with resilience. Yet what the world is about to learn is only the tip of the iceberg. Confidential materials and first-hand accounts from insiders reveal a chilling reality. Catherine's trial did not begin recently. Signs of instability had already surfaced in late 2023, hidden behind troubling blood test results. For months, the truth was concealed beneath a veneer of stability. Why did the palace keep it secret? The answer lies in a harsh royal philosophy: the symbol must not be allowed to waver. Even as pain became part of daily life, Catherine continued to appear with a radiant smile, chair meetings, and lead educational initiatives. It was a silent sacrifice, where an iron will struggled to overpower physical exhaustion. Behind the stage lights, the velvet curtains concealed her weakest moments. There were times Catherine collapsed backstage at charity events, yet the swift motion of security and media transformed them into ordinary migraines. William witnessed it all, from worrying weight loss to long, sleepless nights. He pleaded with her to stop, but Catherine, bound by unwavering devotion to duty, refused. Catherine is not only battling adversity, she is fighting to uphold faith for an entire monarchy. This quiet sacrifice between the dazzling stage lights and moments of collapse behind the scenes paints a portrait of a figure far beyond ordinary protocol. Comment 2. If you feel moved and admire the steel will of this crown-bearing woman. Or comment 5 if you have a different reflection on the price she has had to pay. Don't forget to like and subscribe now to continue uncovering these inspiring archival stories and never miss another heart-stirring tale. The tension between an unfallible symbol and a human growing ever more fragile pushed the royal family into a precarious position. Senior aides feared that if both the king and the princess showed weakness simultaneously, the illusion of institutional strength would collapse. They chose silence to protect the throne, but forgot the price of isolation. Catherine's story is not merely the tale of a royal. It is a lesson on the limits of humanity when faced with a higher duty. As cameras prepared to capture historic footage, the world would come to understand sometimes the greatest strength does not lie in the crown atop one's head, but in the courage to face the truth, even when that truth has the power to change everything we thought we knew about a monarchy. For the sake of stability, a curtain of secrecy was drawn. Catherine accepted it, trusting that these trials were only a brief chapter in her journey of recovery. Yet time and the laws of nature wait for no arrangement. As the palace prepared to speak, reality had already moved beyond their control. The most loyal aides began to question: is silence still golden, or is it slowly eroding trust between an age-old institution and the public? William, torn between his duty as a prince and his heart as a husband, began to realize that the fortress of secrets was becoming a prison of pain. The throne built on influence and image now faced a cruel test of sincerity. Then, without any staged ceremony or coordinated press release, Catherine made a move that shook the nation. In a simple setting, a garden where the laughter of children once echoed, she chose to face the world directly. In just 94 seconds, the royal veil was completely pierced by a heartbreaking honesty. There was no royal glamour, no shield of advisors, only a woman speaking about the trials of her life with absolute clarity. She began with words of gratitude, but it was what came next that made millions of hearts stop. Every word Catherine spoke swept through the silence like a storm. She did not dwell on technical details, but spoke of family resilience and the right to retain a private space amid the chaos. Yet beneath that composure lay a profound emotion, a confession so sincere that it was clear this was not merely a medical update, but a deeply human sharing about the fragility of life. The world's response was an immense wave of emotion. From national leaders to ordinary citizens, everyone found connection through shared pain. Spontaneous candlelight vigils and quiet prayers were no longer for a title, but for a mother and wife, standing at the center of a storm, choosing truth over tradition. That moment has forever changed the image of the monarchy. The acknowledgement of vulnerability shattered the cold, distant facade, revealing the raw beauty of truth. Behind the scenes, emotional wounds remained. William, in an unrestrained moment at a public event, shed tears before the crowd, an unprecedented image in modern history. Even the press, usually relentless in pursuing every detail, chose to step back out of respect for this silence. They understood that this was no longer news to dissect, but a journey of the soul unfolding in real time. The monarchy has now transformed. It is no longer defined solely by titles or lineage, but by the courage to live authentically and embrace one's true humanity. Catherine's story is not just one of survival. It is a lesson on the cost of silence and the power of sincerity. She did what no royal symbol before her had dared reveal: the fragility beneath a radiant cloak. It is precisely this openness that has turned Catherine from a princess into a guiding soul, forcing a palace, once a fortress of secrets, to move in rhythm with her heartbeat. Yet while the world honors Catherine's bravery behind the heavy oak doors, another battle quietly ignites. This is not merely a fight against illness, but a struggle shaping the future of a 1,000-year-old institution. In strategic meeting rooms, the air is thick with calculation. Harsh questions arose. Who would represent the monarchy if Catherine's radiance receded? Old alliances fractured, and new schemes began to take root. Not everyone looked in the same direction, and not every heart within the castle beat in rhythm with the woman resting. As the reality of Catherine's absence became a daunting prospect, conflicting viewpoints collided. Some voices sought to fill the void with traditional rituals, aiming to maintain the monarchy's public presence. But this intervention met a steel wall of loyalty. Princess Anne and the Duchess of Edinburgh rose as guardians of Catherine's legacy. They understood that hastily replacing a symbol was not only a betrayal of familial bonds, but also an act that could destroy public trust. To them, Catherine was the last thread capable of mending a monarchy facing the fractures of the age. At the center of the storm, Prince William stood firm like a lighthouse amid turbulent seas. He rejected all contingency plans, all possible replacements, no matter how minor. To William, acknowledging a plan B would be tantamount to surrendering to fate, and that was something he would never do. His cold decisiveness before the advisors sent a powerful message. Catherine is not a pawn on the political chessboard. She is the soul of this household. Despite the crushing pressure to maintain the continuity of the institution, and despite drafts of task restructuring already laid out on the table, William chose to place his trust in the miracle of willpower. Then, just as the darkness of doubt loomed heaviest, a ray of light pierced the night. A new message emerged, not from aides but from Catherine herself. With heartfelt sincerity, she shared what once seemed impossible. There were signs of triumph in the battle. Her illness had abated. Light had returned to the eyes of the mother, the wife, and the future queen. She spoke of gratitude, of resilience forged through the darkest hours. Treatment had borne fruit, and life once again asserted itself against the cruelty of fate. Though the joyous news had arrived, shadows of the past left profound lessons. This crisis revealed a truth. The prestige of a monarchy does not lie in stone walls or noble titles, but in the human connection between its leaders and the people. Catherine has triumphed not only over illness, but also over outdated rules redefining the value of the crown. A new chapter is unfolding where strength comes not from mystery, but from sincerity and compassion. News of Catherine's remission spread across the world like a wave of quiet jubilation. The media called it a miracle, and social media erupted with prayers. Yet for Catherine, this was not a blazing victory anthem. She faced this reality with the insight of someone who had walked through the valley of darkness, not as a destination, but as a steadfast step on a long path full of uncertainties. Though now stable, the mark of stormy months still lingers in every gesture. Her voice, though steadier, carries the breath of someone who has touched the very limits of endurance. Catherine's candidness about her recovery process has received wholehearted support from the professional community. 6 Within the palace, a new order had been established. Prince William, with devoted protection, set strict boundaries for his wife's return. Catherine reappeared still graceful, but carrying a more subdued and wise beauty. She no longer tried to force herself to shine. She simply existed, and that presence, though more delicate than before, held the power to ignite hope stronger than any speech. A moment touched the hearts of humanity, the image of Catherine walking hand in hand with her children across the school grounds. It was not a royal ritual, but a wordless message of life continuing. Beyond the palace walls, beyond noble titles, she was first and foremost a mother fighting to preserve her children's peace amid the storm. Yet behind that calm tension within the palace remained. Unanswered questions about the future still lingered. What would happen if darkness returned? These doubts were no longer brushed aside. They became catalysts for decisions that could reshape the foundation of an entire monarchy. King Charles, standing beside the heir, acknowledged a profound truth. Catherine's courage had redefined the image of royalty. She achieved what decades of protocol and ceremony could not, restoring humanity to the monarchy. Now power no longer lay in displays of authority, but in the resilience to endure the world's scrutiny while battling the fiercest personal wars. Immutable rules were quietly being adjusted. The palace no longer tried to maintain the illusion of eternal strength. They learned to accept vulnerability as part of evolution. Catherine's legacy would not be confined to royal procedures. She placed compassion at the heart of every action. Quiet visits, advocacy for mental health, and early childhood education now carried a more vivid meaning. She taught the world that strength does not always roar. Sometimes it is the whisper of a mother holding on to what is most precious. In the darkest days, she is said to have written private letters to George, Charlotte, and Louis, messages for the future if she could not return. Whether or not those letters were ever opened, They became part of the legend of a woman who stood at the edge and chose to fight. Catherine did not merely cling to her role. She turned her pain into purpose. Her battle may not be over, but her strength has redrawn the map of the monarchy's destiny. The world will never see her the same way again, for they have glimpsed the portrait of a queen in spirit, a woman who reminded us that even in adversity, grace and determination can create miracles. Catherine's journey is not merely the story of a title or a crown, but an epic of willpower, sincerity, and the cost of compassion. She taught us that the greatest strength sometimes does not lie in majesty, but in the courage to be vulnerable and honest with the world. A new chapter of royal history has begun, a chapter written in humanity rather than in rigid ritual. At this point, we want to hear from you. How do you feel about Catherine's inspiring journey of revival? Do you think this humanization could help the British monarchy remain resilient amid the challenges of the modern era? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We truly value every perspective. If this video has brought you special emotions or valuable insights, don't forget to hit like to show support for our content team. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss in-depth documentaries about some of the world's most influential figures. Thank you for watching and see you in the next videos. Ladies and gentlemen, in the world of modern intelligence, silence does not mean peace. Sometimes it is the sign of an undercurrent storm being handled by the most advanced security protocols. Recently, international cybersecurity observers have been buzzing over a shocking hypothesis. Is it possible that a renowned federal investigative agency is quietly activating Level 1 surveillance mode on a public figure who was once part of the royal family? Unverified sources suggest that the incident began with a strange signal penetrating the most inviolable place of all the data files of a child member of the royal family. Join us as we decode the fragments of this potential security case through the lens of systems analysis. According to corridor chatter, experts from the Digital Protection Unit have detected anomalies in traffic flow. The target was not assets, but real-time location data and the academic schedule of a young VIP. Experts assess that this was not the work of impulsive hackers. The method of access to the private school's data portal suggests the intruder appeared to have detailed knowledge of internal procedures. Rather than making a public announcement that could cause panic, the defensive system seems to have opted for a strategy of silent containment, coordinating across channels between MI5 and intelligence partners across the ocean to trace the activity back to its source. The story grows even more gripping when we analyze the digital coordinates. There are unverified rumors suggesting that electronic traces led investigators to an IP address linked to former personnel who once served on the staff of a duchess. One detail with a distinctly detective novel flavor has been highlighted by the online community surveillance logs allegedly leaked, recorded the presence of a related individual in the Notting Hill area. Coincidentally, this location fell within the signal radius of a cybersecurity firm just 24 hours after the data breach occurred. Is this merely a random coincidence explained by statistical probability, or a calculated link in a deliberate chain of actions? We cannot say for certain yet, but in the world of counterintelligence, coincidence is rarely taken at face value. Wait a moment. Let me ask you something. Is there anyone here who believes in coincidences that line up down to the very second like this? Comment number 2 if you think this was orchestrated. If you believe it was purely random, leave a number 5 in the comments below. Your perspective is crucial as we move forward into the forensic evidence segment coming up next. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to stay updated with our upcoming videos. If this hypothesis is correct, then the matter has moved beyond the realm of entertainment gossip and crossed into the threshold of national security. An anonymous source, reportedly from within a federal investigative agency, has hinted at the possible existence of a dedicated digital forensic analysis operation. According to this account, not only public devices but the entire digital ecosystem surrounding this individual, from encrypted communication channels and internal applications to disposable devices, burner phones, is now under forensic scrutiny. The system appears to have determined that the intrusion was not an isolated incident. It looked more like a comprehensive data collection effort spanning everything from charitable logistics systems to the travel schedules of other senior figures within the royal family. Anonymous intelligence sources are now raising a chilling hypothesis. What we are witnessing is not simply the curiosity of a single individual, but rather a structured information harvesting matrix, with the ultimate objective being to narrow and control access to high-level logistics data related to the royal family's young members. The severity of the situation reached a peak amid rumors that the UK's cyber threat response team, an entity typically activated only in the face of national-level terrorist plots, had quietly been brought in. In leaked redacted documents, although the identity of the central figure was obscured, the coded phrase, "a close partner in North America," appeared repeatedly more than 20 times, standing out as a dangerous variable in this security equation. Across the ocean, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, is reportedly believed to have expanded its scanning perimeter to the Montecito area. We are not talking about classic phone tapping, but the most advanced signal intelligence SIGINT measures analyzing data packets over Wi-Fi and using artificial intelligence AI to isolate voices from ambient noise. On July 1st, an independent digital forensic analyst known by the alias Digital Barrister released a startling finding. Data traces from this location indicated an abnormal and sudden spike in outbound traffic. The timing aligned perfectly down to the very second with the moment the security breach occurred in London. The hypothesis being raised is this was someone carrying out a large-scale data transmission right under the noses of the authorities. The tension truly escalated when a whistleblower revealed the existence of ambient audio recordings, a type of evidence that is legally permitted to be collected only under statutes governing foreign counterintelligence operations. Linguistic experts analyzing the recording concluded that it involved the use of dual-use language. What outwardly sounded like an ordinary PR discussion actually contained coded references to damage control and mentions of a master file designed with encryption to prevent reverse tracing. The tension truly erupted when a whistleblower revealed the existence of ambient audio recordings, a type of evidence that is legally permitted to be collected only under provisions governing foreign counterintelligence operations. Linguistic experts analyzing the recording concluded that it involved the use of dual-use language. What outwardly sounded like an ordinary PR discussion actually contained coded references to damage control and mentions of a master file designed with encryption to prevent reverse tracing. The situation grew even more gripping with the emergence of a memo titled Operation Mind Archive. This intelligence report highlighted three critical details: a sudden surge in encrypted calls just before H-hour and repeated data transmissions to a suspicious IP address in Berlin, a location previously linked to past diplomatic leaks. And most alarming of all, an audio clip is said to contain an ultimatum-like statement: "If they want war, we will deliver the truth." Analysts believe this line implies that the data collection was not intended for immediate use, but rather to build an information arsenal designed to exert strategic pressure on the monarchy. Notably, the wording suggests a systematic fixation on the future monarch Princess Charlotte. The era of street corner speculation appears to be over, as observers now assess that the situation has escalated from a family dispute into a transnational security matrix. Leaked information suggests the emergence of an unprecedented cooperative mechanism between the FBI United States and its MI5 and MI6 counterparts. United Kingdom provisionally referred to as Operation Ivy. In internal security documents reportedly circulating, the central figure is no longer identified by name, but has instead been assigned the code name Subject Number 1. Buckingham Palace now appears to be facing not only media scrutiny, but also immense pressure demanding transparency over this alleged security vulnerability. But what sends the deepest chill through behavioral psychology experts is the reaction of the central figure: absolute silence. No legal denial statements. No cryptic social media posts as seen in the past. No PR maneuvers whatsoever. This sudden disappearance from the media battlefield is referred to by intelligence analysts as a strategic vacuum. It signals that the narrative has shifted from entertainment gossip to a high-risk reality where civilian legal levers are no longer effective and all sides are cautiously watching one another as if engaged in a geopolitical chess match. July 10th marked a turning point when the firewall was breached. A 17-page classified file titled Subject M, One Timeline and Anomalous Trigger Factors was leaked through encrypted channels on the dark web. The document provided a digital forensics map containing data described as irrefutable, including geoint, geospatial intelligence. On June 18th, location tracking reportedly showed the subject remaining for 19 minutes outside a critical telecommunications infrastructure facility in Virginia, a site not accessible to civilians. Device evidence: a decrypted log from a burner phone recorded a message sent just 16 hours after the royal family data leak. The translated content is "chilling completed. I need to establish plausible deniability." This detail implies a calculated effort to erase traces of linkage rather than merely creating geographic distance. The report also reveals an internal FBI note describing Subject M1's strategy as desensitization, a process aimed at gradually conditioning the public to repeated leaks of private information involving royal minors, thereby reducing public outrage over time. As this information began to surface, paparazzi lenses captured images of a black SUV speeding out of the Montecito estate, with the individual inside heavily shielded by a dense security detail. This did not resemble a casual outing, but rather bore the hallmarks of an emergency extraction protocol triggered when a situation spirals beyond control. By July 11th, whispers had turned into a red alert. Diplomatic sources indicated that MI6 and the FBI had carried out a rare information exchange procedure, one typically reserved for high-level espionage investigations. Meghan Markle's file is reportedly no longer categorized under celebrity, but has instead been labeled cross-domain sensitive influence risk. The final question posed to us is this: when an individual holds the data keys to a monarchical institution, does that constitute personal freedom or a national security threat? According to prevailing hypotheses among observers, we are witnessing an asymmetric information war. The close circle around Subject M1 Meghan is believed to have engineered a calculated destabilization campaign targeting the royal family's credibility in child rearing, with the ultimate focal point being the Duchess of Cambridge, Kate. However, the atmosphere inside the palace has shifted. Leaked images show Kate leaving a high-level security meeting with an expression analysts describe as a steely composure. internal sources confirm that she has moved from passive defense to legal counteroffensive mode. This is no longer about image management, but the instinct of a mother prepared to expose her opponent in order to establish an absolute safety zone for Princess Charlotte. However, the atmosphere inside the palace has indeed changed as leaked images once again capture Kate, departing a top-tier security briefing with that same unmistakably cold, resolute demeanor. Internal sources confirm that she has shifted from a stance of passive defense to a legal counteroffensive. This is no longer about preserving public image, but the instinct of a mother prepared to expose her adversary in order to establish an absolute safety zone for Princess Charlotte. Back in London, Kate is reportedly not waiting to be rescued. She is said to be quietly compiling a forensic chronicle, a comprehensive collection of digital evidence documenting the attacks dating back to 2021. This forms the foundation for a potentially explosive legal case. The situation is said to be so serious that Meghan's name has reportedly been placed into a restricted database, making her the subject of an unprecedented cross-border surveillance operation targeting a civilian. The question being asked is no longer does she want to respond, but rather, from a legal standpoint, does she still have the right to speak at all? On July 14th, the crisis is said to have officially crossed the threshold into a matter of national security. The UK Parliament's Homeland Security Committee convened an emergency session. Although most of the meeting minutes were heavily redacted, the initials MM remained clearly visible in the discussion section, addressing unauthorized foreign digital intrusion targeting royal minors. Tensions escalated to an extreme level when leaked internal messages revealed that aides were no longer using the term PR incident. Instead, they adopted a far more severe designation: espionage. This keyword trended for a full 7 hours, thrusting the name Meghan into the center of suspicions that extend far beyond the boundaries of mere entertainment. According to rapidly spreading chatter across closed military forums, a startling hypothesis has emerged. Could this figure have been operating within the gray zone of a passive surveillance process for as long as 3 weeks before the story broke? Some images allegedly leaked from authorities, though still unverified, have even hinted that she was classified as a person of interest in connection with security protocols protecting royal minors. While variable M1 stands at the eye of the storm of suspicion, variable H Prince Harry has been making a series of deeply perplexing moves. He completely vanished from the U.S. media radar, only to be unexpectedly seen quietly boarding a private flight to Zurich, Switzerland. No wife, no children, no royal security detail. Insiders are asking the obvious question: why Zurich, the global hub of discreet financial dealings? Is he searching for a safe financial harbor or secretly negotiating an exit strategy after realizing that a legal storm may be about to crash down on his wife? What do you think this solo trip represents, a flight or a search for allies? Leave your speculation in the comments below. The answer may lie within that royal briefcase. Ladies and gentlemen, the moment of truth has arrived. Allegedly irrefutable digital evidence has surfaced, signaling an end to all denials. Media reports claim that a chain of emails was decrypted from the inbox of a close aide and traced back to an IP address in Los Angeles, widely known as the base of operations for Subject M1's security team. The email content is said to confirm a chilling assertion access links to Charlotte's school data archive were approved from an external source. But the most shocking plot twist in the history of royal security has now emerged. The aide chose a side. Instead of continuing to conceal the truth, this individual is reportedly coming clean, agreeing to become a whistleblower in exchange for protection. Leaked information suggests that this key witness has now been placed under MI6's Special Protection Program. The fact that a foreign intelligence service has successfully penetrated Meghan's inner circle signals that this is no longer a private family matter. Public opinion has shifted irreversibly. Even major U.S. media outlets, such as CNN, have begun to change their tone. They no longer frame this as celebrity drama, but are instead questioning a potential national security risk strategy. In response, an unprecedented meeting, unseen since the era of Princess Diana, was convened between senior members of the royal family and British intelligence leadership. A decision was made immediately to activate the double guard protocol for Princess Charlotte. The situation grew even more ominous when a July 13th memo revealed that social engineering attacks originating from California-based IP addresses continued even after the aide defected. This development forced intelligence officials to reinstate the codename Operation Ivy. Subject M1 is now no longer viewed merely as a political irritant, but has been reclassified as a systemic threat to institutional stability. Prince William has officially elevated the crisis to the diplomatic level by convening an emergency meeting with the UK Prime Minister. The message being sent is unmistakably clear. This is a coordinated effort to undermine the monarchy from across the Atlantic. The contrast between the two sides of this divide has never been sharper. In the United States, Meghan is seen in Montecito surrounded by private security forces, reportedly linked to former NSA personnel, an image defined by defensiveness and isolation. In stark contrast, Kate Middleton appears at the United Nations, delivering a flawless address that projects resilience and the soft power of a future queen. Ladies and gentlemen, based on the rapid developments we have just witnessed, strategic analysts broadly agree on one conclusion. Meghan Markle's personal brand and political credibility have suffered a permanent structural fracture. This is not an injury that can be repaired through PR campaigns or self-produced documentaries. As for the palace, while the surface appears as calm as still water, the subtle signals being sent suggest that their response operation is far from over. Once the red line concerning child security was crossed, the rules of the royal family changed completely. The silence from Buckingham Palace at this moment is not a sign of weakness, but the calm before a tsunami. Can Meghan Markle turn the tide, or will the M1 file mark the end of her Hollywood ambitions? The answer may well lie in the hands of the FBI disclaimer. This video is compiled based on hypotheses and rumors for analytical and entertainment purposes only. Which side are you on in this royal power struggle? Press 1 if you support the decisive stance of the British royal family. Press 0 if you still believe in the innocence of the Sussex household. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the latest developments.